Thursday, as the rabbit says, right? Get brighter. There it is. I'm late. I'm late for a very important. Isn't that what the white rabbit says in Alice in Wonderland? I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. Oh, it's hot. I got some ginger ale. La 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 la. Hello. I like this. Looks a little black. It's black. Blue flowers. Black. Ooh. Hi. Yes, more light. Yay. Hi. So, rabbit. Indeed, I'm late for rabbit, like the white rabbit, and today is National Welsh Rabbit Day. Totally a sign. Hello. Yes, it's Alison in the living room again. Hi. What is it? It's Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday already. Where did this week go? Where did this week go? Wasn't it like Sunday night, like 5 minutes ago? Which is this week just went, ding, bong, zong, and gone. It just went, and it's September 3rd, and it is Thursday. And today is National U.S. Bowling League Day. I don't know, do bowl? I don't know. I don't bowl. I mean, I've gone bowling. I'm not, like, good at it. Bob is good at it because we grew up in Ohio. Bowling is a very Ohio thing. It's not like an LA thing. So not like a big bowler. It is National Welsh Rarebit Day, or Rabbit Day. Now, on this list, they say Welsh Rarebit. It's wrong. It's not right. It's rabbit. Rabbit. It is Welsh Rabbit Day. Portugal. Hi, Portugal. Yeah, I'm okay. How are you? There we go. Loving the new ice maker. Gotta tell you, on a day like today. So, it's Welsh Rabbit. How is my camcorder? I don't know. It's my phone. I watched it. How is your camera so clear? It's the phone. It's a good phone, though. There's a little Android, and there's the one Moto, which is all about the camera. I think that was Bill Graff just now who said, Musso and Frank's Welsh Rabbit. Oh, yeah. They do make the best. So, seriously, I looked this up because I had heard Welsh Rabbit and Welsh Rarebit. I had totally only ever heard Welsh Rabbit when I was a child, which makes sense. Now, my father was from Irish people. My mother was primarily Scottish, but she was also a little bit Welsh. So, yeah, is rabbit. So, Welsh Rabbit, which is the original spelling. I only heard rabbit. This Welsh Rarebit thing, I didn't even hear till like adulthood. Is a traditional British dish, often associated with Welsh cuisine. A savory sauce of melted cheese and various other ingredients served hot after being poured over slices of toasted bread. It's cheese on toast. It's melted cheese on toast. It's just a really super duper grilled cheese. That's all it is. But the Welsh Rabbit. But if you do it right, if you get the right kind of bread and you toast it right and you pour the cheese, like just a big liquid like nacho sauce kind of over it, and you put other things, it's really good. They talk about it. There's English rabbit, Scotch rabbit, buck rabbit, golden buck rabbit, blushing bunny, and in some parts of France, it is known as le Welsh. So what's the deal? Oh, and you put ale and mustard and cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper! Cinnamon chicken. Paprika, wine, Worcestershire sauce. Oh, I wouldn't make it without Worcester sauce. Worcestershire sauce, or Worcester sauce, as I was told it was said. Different cheese, you can put mustard, you can put things. But the deal is you toast the bread nicely on both sides, butter it, cut a slice of cheese as big as the bread, toast it on both sides, lay it on the bread. Like toasting your cheese. It would melt, wouldn't it? How do you toast your cheese? I reckon with the toaster. And then this is a pouring. Oh, this one says, English rabbit, toast the bread, pour a glass of red wine. Just soak your toast in red wine and let it soak, and then lay the cheese on it and stick it in the oven. That sounds kind of good. But yeah, the Welsh Rabbit is supposed to be toast the bread and you put cheese on it. And it's a really elaborate toasted cheese sandwich. That's all it is. And they're not sure about Welsh because it may have been the English saying it was from somewhere else, it was foreign. What is it? That's Welsh. Maybe one of those things, like we call everything French over here. I don't know. Rarebit, it's like, no, it is rabbit. Rabbit. The story I was told as a child, and I don't know if it's true, was that somebody went hunting and they didn't get anything, catch anything. It was very Paul Ingalls. They were supposed to get rabbits and there weren't any, and they had nothing to eat, so they had cheese on toast and said, "Oh, Welsh rabbit, ha ha." I think that might actually be partially kind of true, or it happened enough that it stuck to it. Betty Crocker, there you go. Betty Crocker says Welsh peasants were not allowed to eat the rabbits caught on the estates of nobility, you see. And so they had melted cheese. Yeah, I bet they went and poached rabbits anyway. I don't think they sat around and ate cheese just because somebody told them not to hunt that rabbit. I heard it was just like they weren't very good hunters. But yes, it's mentioned a lot, and generally in the old days, it's there's no rabbits, and so they had that. It's a substitute. It's called, "Hi, we didn't get to the store. We didn't get anything, honey. We're out of food. You're having cheese on bread." And that's right. But it's delicious. And I personally, I'm not really in the mood. I don't really want to eat a bunny. I don't eat a lot of meat, and I'm not going to really eat a rabbit. But I would totally eat cheese on toast, like, all day. So I would totally rather have a Welsh rabbit than an actual rabbit. Oh, it's eggs, yes. So I put eggs on it. You can totally put eggs on it. Oh my, that's good. We have one cat in the room. That's always good. Well, what are we doing? We're still on Prairie Lotus, but we're coming down the home stretch. Things have gotten exciting. So, poor Hannah with all she has to put up with. So little Hannah, in the 1800s, she and her pa have made it to a little town in South Dakota. As I said, this woman, Linda Sue Parker, wrote this book, Prairie Lotus. It's very good. You can get it online. Read Little House on the Prairie so much when she was a little girl, she almost had it memorized. So she was like, she wanted to be Laura. She wanted to be Laura's friend. She imagined herself as a child living in DeSmet, South Dakota with Laura and being in love with Cap Garland and having to do battle with Nellie. Except she's like, wait, I'm Korean, I'm Chinese. There's not like a half Chinese, half Korean girl running around in DeSmet. But she went, well, wait a minute. They had Chinese railroad workers, and there were could happen. What if I wrote a story where a little Chinese? So little Hannah, who is half Chinese on her mother's side, and her pa are on the prairie in the 1880s, and they go to South Dakota. And she goes to school, and there's a girl named Bess. Oh, wait, like Laura's nickname, who is really nice and wants to teach school, but also knows how to sew. Oh, and then Dolly, who has blonde hair and ringlets and is terrible, and it's like, yeah, see what we're doing here. But she's had to put up with all sorts of nonsense and bullying, the school board trying to throw her out of school, and just attitude for days. But her friend Bess has come over to work with her. Her dad is doing the grand opening of their store, and she's convincing him to let her make the dresses. She's really, really good. She learned from her mom. And he's like, well, okay, we'll sell fabric, and maybe, okay, you can do a dress. But she got a friend Bess to work for her, which is great, because Bess's dad is cool. He's the one who's the justice of the peace and on the school board and made them not throw her out. But her mom, her mom is like Mrs. Oleson and totally hates her. So that's a problem, because her mom is like, Chinese people! So I don't know how long Bess is going to be able to work for her. But they're sewing away, and she and Bess are getting along great, and they're having a totally non-racist thing happening, whereas Bess's mom shows up and is like racist and evil. But Bess's dad is cool, and some of the townspeople are coming around, so will they come to the grand opening? Will they buy a dress? Will she get more, like, mistreatment? Will anyone else be really mean to her, or is she going to make it through, like, the rest of the book? Because things are looking up. Things are finally looking up. People were starting to be nice to her. All right. So, Bess's mom came over and was just, like, sucked the oxygen out of the room and was Karen of the prairie and awful and left. And now she and Bess are going, yeah, okay, fine, we'll just go back to sewing. The awkwardness dissipated when the girls discovered that in addition to their shared dislike of sewing buttonholes, they also both hated putting in whalebone stays. Well, I would hate that, and I would hate wearing whalebone stays. Ugh. Together, they giggled their way to a solution. When it came time to put in the stays, they would take turns, so neither one would have to do all of them. And the same with the buttonholes, Bess proposed. A blood vow, Hannah replied. Which of your fingers has the most thin bricks? They held up their fingers and pressed them together. Good thing her mother didn't know about that. At the end of the day, Hannah was more than satisfied with their progress. It now seemed entirely possible that with both of them working on it, the dress could be finished in 2 more days. Because she wants to make this gorgeous green lawn summer dress with the little glass reflective rainbow buttons and all, and put it in a sample at the grand opening. So the ladies will freak out and go, whoa, 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 I can get this dress. I can order this dress and get some business going. So she wants it done by grand opening, and she and Bess are going to do it. Yeah, she's designed the whole shop. She's like all over it. But she and Bess are getting along, but I don't know. We'll we'll see how this goes. And she's Bess's boss. That was the other thing that freaked her out. She had a total freak out when she went, wait, I'm her boss. Oh, no, wait, I'm the Chinese girl, and she's the white girl, and I'm her boss, and we're going to get in trouble. Because it's the 1880s. As Bess rolled up her apron, she said, oh, I almost forgot. Would you walk with me to the church site? My pa's working there this week, and he asked me to tell you that he'd like a word with you. Uh-oh. Of course, Hannah said. She wondered why Mr. Harris wanted to speak to her and asked Bess if she knew. No, I don't, Bess said, but he didn't seem upset at all, if that's what you're thinking. Hannah didn't actually know what she was thinking, so puzzled was she by the request. And remember, Mr. Harris is cool. He's the one, when they describe him, she describes him, it's clearly Paul Ingalls. He has dark brown hair and a beard but striking blue eyes, and he's really nice, and he's the Justice of the Peace and on the school board, which, Charles Ingalls was the Justice of the Peace on the school board in De Smet, South Dakota. The church was being built on 2nd Street, 2 blocks beyond the schoolhouse. Walking with Bess past the school in the hot sunshine, Hannah was surprised by how small the schoolhouse looked. She had been a student there only a week earlier, but it felt like years ago. When they reached the building site, Mr. Harris was up a ladder, nailing rafters. He spotted the girls and waved. Charlie Hart was there too, framing a window. Hello, graduates, he called out. He was there when she got her diploma. Was very excited. Hannah and Bess smiled at him and each other. They stood waiting in the narrow stripes of shade formed by the wall studding. A few moments later, Mr. Harris climbed down the ladder and took off his apron. After a long drink of water from a jug half buried in the grass, he wet his kerchief and wiped his face and hands. Oh yeah, they said it's getting pretty hot. All right, he said. I think I'm just about presentable now, and if I'm not, you'll have to pretend and pardon. Bess, would you fetch that jug and my apron on the wagon? I need a minute with your friend here. Uh-oh. Remember, she's only 14, but she's got grown-up saying, may I speak to you alone? I mean, it's like, here. Yes, Pa, Bess replied, as Hannah's heart did a one-step jig of happiness. Your friend, he had said. Right, they're acting normal. They're not treating her weird because she's Chinese. They're being normal. That's good. Mr. Harris walked with Hannah several paces away from the skeleton church. Don't worry, Hannah, you're not in any kind of trouble, he began. She was relieved. She couldn't think of anything she'd done wrong, but there was something about being around the law that made a person feel guilty. I just need to ask you a few questions about what happened on Monday. Monday? Mr. Harris continued. Your father told me that you'd seen some Indians outside their lands. This was about Wichapewin. How could she have forgotten? Oh, Papa told him, even after I begged him not to. Oh, Papa, how could you? I could lie. I could say I never saw them. He's the law. I have to tell him the truth. But what if the laws are unfair? Didn't the colonists disobey King George's laws because they were unfair? Hannah almost missed what Mr. Harris said next. What you saw, and it will go from there. She swallowed hard, and her answer was a long time in coming. I'd rather not say. She saw his blue eyes widen in surprise. Well, now, can't say as I expected that. He didn't sound angry, just puzzled, which gave her the courage to speak further. Mr. Harris, I wouldn't lie to you, but do I have to tell you what I saw? Yes, you do, he said, his voice gentle, but his words firm. There's no courthouse here. But I'm the law, and everyone has to answer to the law. A pause. If you don't, that's called contempt, and it's within my rights to arrest anyone for contempt. Hannah almost choked on her next breath. It hadn't occurred to her that she could be arrested. She didn't tell him what she'd seen. Well, I don't think he's really gonna. He's not that type of guy. But technically, as Justice of the Peace, he is the law. Like, I mean, they would have to go to the big city to get, like, a sheriff. But technically, he can, like, say, well, I'm sorry, we're going to have to, like, you know, lock you in a building because in the ice house, like we did in Little House, because if you're in violation. I'm the law here, Mr. Harris repeated slowly. There's times when the law isn't a cut-and-dried thing, and it has to be interpreted. In those cases, you have to trust the man serving the law. He looked right into her eyes. Hint, hint, he's not going to be awful, but she does have to tell him. Papa had said that Mr. Harris was a fair man. He had allowed Hannah to attend school, ruling in her favor against all those parents. But she did not know how he felt about Indians. No, that wasn't entirely true. The fact was, he was a white homesteader on the frontier, and on the frontier was in itself a statement against Indians. But I'm no different. Papa and me were right here in LaForge, same as Mr. Harris. That was Indian land until a few years ago. No, it still is Indian land. Stolen by white people. And you steal something, that doesn't make it yours. And if Witchapewan hadn't had a pass, Hannah didn't see where there was any room for interpretation. She could tell him what she'd seen and risk the arrest of Witchapewan and the others, or she would refuse to answer and risk arrest herself. Her heart weighed down by the misery of her cowardice. She whimpered inside her head, I'm sorry, Witchapewan. Sorry. It was a group of Indian women, she said, her voice trembling. Oh, just women? Women and children. 2 little girls and a babe in arms. What were they doing? Digging for turnips. In her mind's eye, she saw images of Witchapewan eating soup, proffering the braid of Timsina, pulling a tuber out of the ground. Witchapewan, a woman who might almost be sort of a friend now. Somehow, Hannah had to get Mr. Harris to understand that, but she would have to be careful not to give him too many details about Witchapewan, which might put her in danger of arrest. Did you know that the Sioux word for prairie turnip is Timsina? Hannah lifted her chin and steadied her voice. They taught me that, and they gave me some and told me how to cook it. So I made soup, and I put in some Timsina, and Bess, she ate it, and she liked it. She stopped, aware. Before asking his next question. I don't suppose you saw any weapons. Not weapons, she said. Wooden sticks for digging the turnips. Hannah stayed quiet too, sensing he was now making up his mind. That pass system, he said at last, as far as I know, its intent is my judgment, a group of women and children harvesting prairie turnip doesn't constitute a threat to LaForge. I don't see any need to send a report to Yankton. Thank you, sir, Hannah exhaled, only then aware that she had been holding her breath. The poor girl. Yeah, come on. That's the thing. He's that kind of guy. Yeah, who was it? Sure, make us weaponized soup. Right. Now, obviously, if it was like, oh, her little friend Sam, his dad, who is like horrible, yeah, her dad would have said, oh, no, they were nearby, and women and children with turnips. Yes, we're calling it in right now. Illegal use of turnips. But Mr. Harris, he's the one who said, no, the half-Chinese girl's staying in school, and it's up to the teacher. And he said, if you really want me to write to the government about whether it's legal, I will, but that'll take weeks. I don't know when I'll get that letter. But Katie, I guess you'll have to stay in school. So, oh yeah, he was like, he's real nice, and he's like, no, her dad has bought a store. He's paying taxes, he's paying property taxes, he's been shopping in your stores. We're not throwing these people out of town. So he's been laying it down, and yeah, he's not the kind of guy who's going to say women with babies strapped to their backs harvesting prairie turnips need to get arrested. He's going to go, okay, were there warriors? Were there soldiers? Did they have weapons? You saw an old lady and some women and some babies pulling up tubers. Yeah, don't care. So yeah, he's like, no, I'm not calling this in. Some old lady picked a tuber. Get out of here. So yeah, he's a logical, sensible, not racist, horrible person. I like that. All right, so, gosh, oh good, this is a short one, because I don't want it to end. There's only a few more chapters. We'll do this one. The matter would seem to be finished with no harm done, but Hannah was still furious. Granted, Papa had never said he wouldn't tell Mr. Harris, but she was angry about more than the fact that he disregarded her plea. Hannah decided that she had to speak up, even if he wouldn't listen. Well, she'd been just popping off all over town. She got into it with Mrs. Harris about the Chinese. She was polite, but she was like, well, And she was like, She could have just sipped her tea and gone, you don't say. But she was like, actually. And got into it with Mrs. Harris. And she's been like popping into going to her father going, no. So I think they got a grand opening coming up. Her father, he's been through a lot. His wife died. Her mom died. He's, I don't know. But she's going to go, she's going to go get into it. She's that age. She's turning 15. You know how it is. She waited until he had nearly finished supper. I talked to Mr. Harris today, she said, at the church site. I know, he said. He told me that he would need to speak to you, seeing you were the one who met those Indians. I asked you not to tell him. His forehead creased and reddened. You think you know better than I do. You were asking me to break the law. She was ready for him, determined to make up for her cowardice with Mr. Harris. Papa, do you consider Miss Lorna a good Christian? What in tarnation? What are you talking about? I'm talking about when you and Mama got married. Oh, she's going to go there. Now, she's right, but she's 14. And when your parents broke the law to get married and they're being hypocritical about something, you may be bringing that up when you're 14 can usually get you sent to your room, if not worse. So she's very bold. She's being very bold here. It's not like she's not right, but she's 14, and he's got to be going like, yeah. He's like ready to lose it here. She had first heard the story when she was about 9 years old. Back then, they had spent most evenings gathered around Mama's bed. Mama, well wrapped in the plaid shawl, no matter what the season. Hannah on one side in the rocking chair. Papa in the armchair in the other. Hannah had asked Mama how she and Papa got married. Mama started to speak but lost her breath. She nodded at Papa to take over. I went and spoke to Miss Lorna, he said. Remember, Lorna was the missionary lady because Mama had been raised by missionaries in China and had come over with them. So Miss Lorna was a nice Christian church lady. She was as close to family as your Mama had. And by then, I'd been taking supper at her place for more than a year, so she was almost like family to me, too. I asked her if she thought it would be all right for me to marry your Mama. Oh, he asked for her hand. What did she say? Hannah asked. She said no, absolutely not. She said, Mr. Edmonds, you know it's against the law. Hannah's mouth fell open in dismay. Against the law? Yep, illegal for a white person to marry someone Chinese. Hannah bit her lip, chilled by a nameless fear. She didn't yet understand the depths of dread possible when unfairness was sanctioned by law. Mama reached out from the bed to touch her arm. Hannah saw that Mama's eyes were bright. She was telling Hannah without words not to worry. This was not a sad story. At once, Hannah felt better. But you knew that already, didn't you, Papa? Not, I did. So why did you ask her? Because I was really asking for something else. Miss Lorna is a smart woman, and I was pretty sure she would understand. She said, Mr. Edmonds, here, in the great state of California, we have laws, unlike in places like Arizona Territory. She answered what was in my head, not what I'd said out loud. Hannah stared at him, then at Mama. You mean she was telling you to go to Arizona? Yes. She was giving us her blessing, even though she knew it was against the law. So we went to Arizona Territory. It took a little doing, but finally we found the right person to perform the ceremony. What kind of person? A justice of the peace. Sounded nice. The words justice and peace together like that. A justice of the peace married you, she repeated. Papa rolled his eyes. No, sirree, I never married anyone but your Mama. Oh, Papa, she couldn't help laughing. And while it was too hard for Mama to laugh, her smile at that moment lit up every corner of Hannah's world. Right? So, absolutely. It was illegal all over the U.S. in the 1800s for a white person to marry a Chinese person. It was a big deal. And he knew. And California was a state. And he knew to Miss Lawrence, no, you couldn't possibly do it here. I mean, of course, they only let people do that. Oh, wait, look, here's the address. She knew. She told them exactly where to go. Well, it's like it was passed for gay and lesbian people. That was the thing. Like, nope, can't get married. Unless, of course, you're going to Hawaii. Remember, everybody had to go to Hawaii. They wanted to go to Hawaii on their honeymoon anyway, so everybody went to Hawaii. Well, there you go. So they went to Arizona and they got married. And, it's funny because this often happens with people's parents. The parents will, tell young people, now, don't you date someone we don't want you to date, and you better marry the right person. Don't you marry someone from, the other side of town, the other side of the tracks, or whatever. And then you find out that, like, when they were dating, their families were totally freaked out. You find out that they were actually, different religions, or from different towns, or from different countries. And you find out that their grandparents actually, like, disowned your parents when they got married, and they just kind of went, forgot to mention it. Yeah, talk to your parents and talk to your grandparents. Find out. Everything wasn't always peachy keen. They may say, oh, no, we never broke any rules when we got married. No, we didn't get, like, excommunicated from our church for marrying out of our religion. No, that didn't happen. So, yeah, you check. You'd be surprised at what Grandma and Grandpa got up to back in the day. Don't act like, they're all butter wouldn't melt in their mouth now, but, Hannah was certain that Papa knew what she was referring to, at least the part about Miss Lorna. You didn't break the law, but you sure went a long way to get around it, she said, yourself and Mama both. Don't you speak against your Mama. Hannah controlled the impulse to roll her eyes at how badly he was missing her point. Papa, I'm not. How could I be? If you and Mama hadn't done what you did, I wouldn't have been born. The both of you, and Miss Lorna too, you knew that the law was wrong, and you did what you had to do. That was different. How? The law should stay out of a man's personal business. As long as I wasn't forcing your Mama to marry me, it oughtn't to be anyone's business but her and mine, and our families. Hello. Oh, Bill Graff, their parents will okay. Hello? See, there you go. Bringing up her parents' marriage hadn't swayed Papa as Hannah thought it would, but she couldn't think of another way to convince him. It's like you're saying that things are only unfair when, they happen to you. Meow. This little smart-mouthed child here. And that succeeded in making him angry. I've had enough of your impudence, he snapped and pushed his chair away from the table. Tell me this, what's Harris gonna do? She lowered her gaze. He said that Witchapawin and her friends aren't a threat to LaForge. He's not going to report them to Yankton. Sakes alive, Hannah! That's what you wanted, isn't it? So why in blazes are you pestering me over this? He stood and stomped from the room. He gets distraught over this stuff. Hannah slumped back in her chair. The conversation had lasted only a minute or two, but it had exhausted her, and she hadn't budged Papa 1 inch. She's giving this guy a hard time. I mean, he's asking for it, but she is giving the foreman a hard time. She's going to wear him out. As if tainted by that difficult conversation, everything seemed to go wrong with the next day's sewing work. Hannah had decided at the outset to make the dress in her own size. If no orders came in, at least she would have a new dress to wear. She had been meticulous about measuring herself and adjusting the pattern accordingly. Bess finished basting the bodice, and Hannah tried it on. It was far too tight. "Rotten eggs," Hannah cursed, half under her breath. "Rotten, smelly, putrid, stinking eggs." Bess looked startled. "Pardon?" "Oh, I'm sorry. It's something my mama used to say. Her favorite curse in English. It means rotten egg. I add more words sometimes." Bess' eyes took on a bit of a sparkle. "Oh, so you can curse without people knowing you're cursing?" she said. "I'm going to try that one at home." Cursing in Chinese. Hannah had to laugh, but then she sobered and shook her head. "Oh, there isn't enough seam allowance to fix this," she said. "She would have to cut 2 new pieces along for the front bodice and sew them again. What did I do wrong?" she groaned. Once she had taken the bodice apart, she and Bess discovered the mistake. Hannah had forgotten to account for eliminating the shirring of the original pattern. The shirred trim was much wider than the piping she was using in its place. It was a stupid mistake, a beginner's mistake, and she was no beginner, which only made her angry at herself. Man, that is some sewing people insider baseball. I mean, I don't sew. I'm like, well, that's a beginner's mistake? That sounds really complicated to me, but oh no. She's so into this. She's like, oh, how could I possibly? "No use crying over spilled milk," Bess said. "That's what my ma says anyway." And we all know that is totally a thing that Caroline Ingalls said to Laura. "I'm going to start hemming the skirt. You go ahead and take care of the bodice. Don't worry about anything else. It'll go faster this time, because you've already done it once." Hannah cast her a quick, grateful look. Wow. So there's a lot of sewing. There you go. There's most sewing. She gets in trouble again. More terrible things happen. You have more run-ins with the law. Poor girl. But there you go. There you go. Alrighty. Woo! It's getting exciting. So, we're going on tomorrow. So we don't have that many. We don't have that many more chapters. Tomorrow's chapter 23. Possibly 24 if it's not too long. Yeah. And then there's 6. Ooh. Oh, then there's only a couple of more days of this. So tomorrow's Friday. So Friday, Saturday. This might end Saturday or Sunday? I don't know. So I need to prepare for the next book. What have I got? So I ordered some stuff online, and I have Young Pioneers, also known as Let the Hurricane Roar, which is kind of Almanzo Laura-ish. It's Rose. Rose wrote it. And then Rose also wrote Freeland, which sounds, it's a little heavy. I don't know about this Freeland. Is Freeland fun or is Freeland boring? No, Freeland looks good. Okay. So we'll probably do Young Pioneers. Although, order those letters, the one with the thing where they go to San Francisco. It's like, it's around here somewhere, I'm sure. But yes, we'll do like a Rose book when this ends. But we have a couple more days of Prairie Lotus, which I'm enjoying. It's very fun. It's very enjoyable. I'm liking this. I love this Linda Sue Park person. She's very interesting. But yes, it's so many things that were created by Laura and then inspired by Laura and Rose. There's just this endless plethora of brilliant prairie art because of Laura. That's good. Alrighty then, so everybody, now you take care and you wash your hands and wear your masks and be careful and call your friends, check in on people, make sure they're okay, and I will see you tomorrow.